You look like you're in a spaceship.
Who's in a spaceship?
I am in a spaceship. Do you like it?
Oh,
He was
Hey.
playing with the buttons too, Lori.
It's better than the mustache I had on earlier.
You had a mustache on?
I did, yes.
My goodness. All right.
It wasn't my natural one either. It was something a little different.
Awesome. Everybody good?
Yeah, nice and warm.
You're streaming
Wow,
live.
eh? What is going on?
Aren't you glad you don't have to drive? Well, you're out driving to work anyways, but drive your cold car to a council meeting. You can just sit. Are you at home or
No,
are you at the shop?
No, I'm at work.
Are you?
Yeah, my kids took all my stuff that works for Zoom meetings. So yeah, I don't have, well, I got a little tiny tablet, but I can't see, yeah, everybody on the screen. So that's no fun, but that's good. Do your Flames play tonight, Kim?
Yep.
And that's a late game, so you're going to get to see some of it?
I don't know. I think they're playing, I think they're playing in Calgary. They're playing Winnipeg again. So it's
Oh,
probably
it-
7
yeah.
o'clock, I would think.
Probably an 8 o'clock start. The Oilers game's on now.
Yeah.
Oh, the Oilers are playing back to back?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
up 2-1.
Oh, okay.
They're playing
And
Ottawa.
And then they're in Montreal, I think, on Thursday, something like that.
So they'll
So,
play
Laurie,
a team.
You're
That's right.
streaming.
That's
You've
right.
got an audience already.
Okay, awesome. Well, welcome to everybody. So it is 6 o'clock by my account, and I'm sure Rhonda is ready. Yes, okay. So I would call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Thank you, Councillor Deadlock. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, that takes us to our delegations. We have Levi Neufeld here from the Hannah Region Fish and Wildlife on this stocking fish in the CN Dam. So I am just going to turn the floor over to you. Oh, there you are. You're really dark, Levi.
He is here, Your Worship, but he's traveling back from Edmonton from
hope
a
he's not-
meeting.
I hope he's not
meeting.
actually driving.
Yeah,
No,
so
I'm
he's
just gonna be pulling over here. Just give me
Because we have other law enforcement in on the call, so you know you might get a ticket in the mail.
well, there's a good thing for Bluetooth. Just give me a couple more seconds to find.
Okay, no, that's fine. So I would have a question for David. So if you could give him a ticket, would we actually get the revenues from that, even though he's not in our jurisdiction?
Probably not, but I think we'd have
Okay,
to
well,
perhaps
let
see
him-
this
Let
video.
him go then. That'd be fine. So Levi, we'll just wait for you, and whenever you're ready, we'll just pass the floor over on to you. Unless if you crash, like text somebody or something.
No, we're good now. Yeah, I should be pulled over.
Hey.
Hey everyone. Let me get my light turned on here so you can at least see my face.
There we go.
How's that? A little bit better?
That's excellent. Yeah, perfect.
See, I even got a seatbelt on. We're good.
Yeah, there you go. Welcome.
So, anyways, to kind of keep it short and sweet, Sandra from the Roundhouse Society approached me back in September to look at the feasibility of reinstating fish in the CN Reservoir. So historically, there was pike and perch in there. So I contacted our fisheries biologist, and for those of you who don't know, this government right now is all about increasing fishing opportunities across the province of Alberta. So for instance, they're stocking Little Fish Lake from the Carrollside Reservoir this springtime. So I contacted Jason Cooper and Caitlin, our two fisheries biologists for this area, and said, what do we need for information to look at the feasibility of getting the CN Reservoir stocked? And a lot of the information was the historic use of the lake, what are the water draws for the lake, the structures, the depth, the oxygen level, and then a big component is stakeholder, like any stakeholders, we have to have their agreement or their approval behind the project, because if they're against it, then there's just zero point in doing it. So I've been doing some research and trying to find the history of the CN Reservoir, what the water uses are, who owns the water rights, what's the average depth of it. I have Mr. Lewis and his outdoor education class as of today, actually, I think was the first day. They're going out there and testing the oxygen levels to see if it's sustainable to even support fish. And then the other key component is talking to you guys in council and kind of bringing it forward to you and see what your guys' thoughts are, if it's something you guys would approve of, if we went forward with it, and just kind of get a general sense of your thoughts behind potentially having the CN Reservoir as a fisheries. So again, I don't want to say that this is for sure happening. These are just steps A, B, and C that we have to look at. And you know what? It's maybe worth investing more money and time so the provincial government can look into it a little bit more. So.
Well, I know I've lived here long enough that I remember when there was actually fish in that body of water. But I see Councillor Campion had a comment he wanted to make.
Yes, Levi, Councillor Campion here. I grew up in this town and I lived just a couple blocks from the dam. That's where I learned all my fishing skills. It was a fantastic pike reservoir when I was young, and there is fish surviving in it now because there's Persian carp in it, you know?
No, exactly. And that's kind of where it stems from. We do have carp, so.
Yeah, there's some 12 to 15 foot water in the place, you know, in it. And for many years, they, even on the east side of the bridge, before they built the rock bed kind of thing up under the bridge, those fish would survive on the east side, as well as in the main part of the thing. And it fills up every spring pretty well with water that comes down from the northeast, the spawning country, and that's where the majority of the water comes.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I would see about it right now is we have a feedlot just on the edge of town that is close to the body of water, and that would be the only drawback that I could see, but it is a fantastic fishery, you know.
No, and exactly, and that's why we're starting from kind of ground zero of the first thing, the most important thing is the stakeholder improvement and then the oxygen levels. And the information that Mr. Lewis is going to get for us will be very crucial in moving forward to the next step of saying, you know what, maybe it's worth doing some water sampling and kind of just seeing where we're at. So really right now, yeah, obviously there'll be no cost to the town or anything like that. Like, this is all provincial initiative to kind of, it's something that I worked with the Roundhouse Society and myself to move towards. And if it is workable, then we can bring it forward to the fisheries bios and move forward from there. So, because I do know you guys have the Helmore Dam and you guys are doing study with that, and that's a little bit different because that's a stock trout pond. So there is, I don't want to say privatization with it, but it's a little bit different than dealing with native fisheries where you're transplanting from lake to lake.
Helmer Dam, when I grew up, was a fantastic perch pond.
Mm-hmm.
It was unreal. You could load. My uncle and I would paddle a boat across there, and within half an hour we could catch 100 perch.
Yeah.
It was unreal.
So Levi, I guess I would ask, do you need anything from council at this point in time? Or, like, I know we used to budget some dollars to put some more extra fish into the Helmer Dam. Is that correct, Director Snell? Yes. So, we used to do that in the past, and I don't know if there was a cost incurred. I'm sure, we could bring it back to council, and council would definitely,
Yeah, at this point, there's zero cost. Like I said, we're using the labor force, essentially the school is the big point of looking at the oxygen sensor, getting them involved with it, and there's no cost. Essentially, all I need from council, if you guys are interested in, and a letter of support, essentially saying that you've been addressed to the study, we'll call it for now, and that you guys are supporting if it does move forward. So I don't want to say that this is for sure happening, but we're just looking at the feasibility of it. So.
Okay, so you don't need it like necessarily tonight, like our next council
No.
meeting, or?
No. So essentially what's going to happen now is I'm still collecting a lot of the data. And if there's anyone in the town that knows of any historic records of the water usage, if you have copies of the water rights, all that information will be very useful for me. I'm going to create a book essentially, and I'll send it off to the fisheries bios. They'll look at it, review, you know what, we meet these criteria. Let's take the next step forward. So there's no, I would say by mid-spring, kind of that April, May type thing. And then we can start moving from there. So,
Because I know Henry Kruger Regional Water Services Commission does do some samples out of there, or they did.
Yeah.
I don't know if they still are. And you know, Garth could certainly probably help you with that, I would imagine, or Councillor Campion.
yeah, any type of information like that would be heavily, because we can pull a lot of the information we need from those samples that you guys have taken in the past. I'm sure there has to be a flood mitigation plan that would explain about the structure behind it. So any of that information would be very useful to me if you guys are willing to share it.
I can contact Garth. We certainly do take water samples of it occasionally because it was a backup water supply for the town not many years ago. And that, so I can certainly get some information from you. I'd be more than willing to work with you on this, Lee. But
Cool.
I'm very interested in it.
Awesome.
Okay, Councillor Bowden, you had a question?
Hi, Levi.
Hi.
I had talked to a bunch of people, and 1977, they recalled there being fish in there. Late 70s, early 80s. Did talk to some people in the spring. They might be willing to go on the water and with a fish finder to try and measure the depth and that sort of thing. I haven't had a whole lot of luck in finding some of the actual historical value or historical information on it. Palliser Economic is doing some checking on some stuff for me, some records, and I talked to Kim, and I don't believe he had any information available. So that's
No,
about
and
all I've got.
So like I said too, with Kelly and his class going out there and testing the water samples, they're actually going to be physically measuring the depth too. So that'll give us a really good idea within a couple meters of anyways of what the depth is. So
There was a road across there, and I know that it's kind of unsure when about and what happened with that. So that if we were to go on it in the spring, then that would give us an idea, sort of a location on if that was
Right.
part of a dam effort that was put in there at one point, and things of that nature. So.
cool.
Okay, Kim?
Mr. Mayor, just a comment about flood mitigation plans and reports. I don't want to be negative, but I don't know if we have much here. Brent and I met with some people with Alberta Environment and Dams last week. They're looking now at safety of our dam structures, and so there's a lot of confusion in terms of who owns the dam structures, who owns what, and they're going to get back to us in regards to that. So, and part of their concern with CN Dam, as an example, is we need to come up with if it is our structure, if it is our water, and we need to come up with an emergency plan if that dam gave way. And they would help us in terms of how much volume of water would actually spill if the dam breached, and where it would go, and how we as a municipality would respond to a breach in terms of keeping first life safety in place, then property safety in place, and move forward. So we are working with them. Just started that last week. So that might be something that maybe we'll be able to find some information as we move through the process with them as well.
No, that's awesome. Well, it's all that information would be good. A little bit from the dam, I did reach out to Ducks Unlimited because they did have some stuff on there. And Morgan is the representative from Ducks Unlimited here in Hannah. he does have paperwork about the dam. I didn't flip through it too much, but he might be able to help out a little bit for the history of that aspect too. So they had some involvement back in the day.
Is there any other questions for Levi? All right, seeing none, I guess we'll let you get back on the road, Levi. Well, thanks for your time. Just want you to drive safe on your way home. I know it's awful cold out there, so just be safe.
No
and
worries.
Get home.
All right, you guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your meeting.
Thanks, Levi.
All right, take care.
Take you too. All right, I would entertain a motion that council thanks Mr. Levi Neufeld, Fish and Wildlife Officer for the Hannah region, for his attendance at this meeting and his report regarding the potential to stock the CN Dam. Thank you, Councillor Bowden. All in favor? And that is carried. Welcome, Councillor Olson. You look like you might have worked up a sweat. That's a good thing.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. It was a little
That's fine.
exciting to be able to run a practice.
Exactly. It's good. All right, that takes us to 3.02 Hannah RCMP detachment report. I think I'm just going to take this opportunity and I'm going to turn it over to, Councillor Kaplan, did you have a question?
Yeah, Levi had asked for a letter of support.
No.
Can we?
Yeah, not yet.
Not
He
yet?
said maybe next spring, he said, so.
Oh, okay, because I
Yeah.
thought we wanted to make a motion.
Yeah, no, I asked him specifically and he said no, not till next spring.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, David, I'll just turn it over to you. Welcome and thank you for joining us on this cold February evening.
Well, thank you, Your Worship, and council for having me. Corporal David Searle. I've been in Brooks since 2013. They asked me 3 weeks ago to come up to Hannah in the commander position, acting, to fill in for Sergeant Spurley while he's out with an injury. I also have Constable Eliason Bernard here with me. He's been in Hannah now for, I think, about 2 months. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce him to the town, if that's possible.
Absolutely. Do you want to say a couple of words, Eliason? Don't be
Uh,
shy.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for welcoming me to your guys' town meeting. I don't really know a whole lot about rural Alberta. I'm originally from BC here, so quite a big change for me, but you guys have a really good detachment here. And so far, everyone's been able to help me learn and best fit the policing for your guys' community in the rural area around us here. So it's been pretty good so far.
Awesome. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Where you're from and
I'm from Langford, BC. So that's on Vancouver Island there. It's quite a different lifestyle. Definitely don't have any of these minus 40 days out there. I have a background in criminal studies before I joined the RCMP. I'm 25, so I'm still fairly young and have a lot to learn. So I was hoping to maybe interact with the community a little bit more, but COVID's obviously kind of put a stop to that. So hopefully this will all settle down and I'll be able to integrate myself into the community a little more and hopefully get to know some of you a little bit better and see if we can make the community a little bit better or keep it on the upward slope of positive incline there. So.
awesome. Well, on behalf of council and town, welcome to the community. I think you'll enjoy it here. Most people do that come and live here. So welcome to the community.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So I'm not sure if I can share my screen or not. I'm not most technologically advanced person, but I'll give
Laurie will make that happen, I think.
You should be good.
Can everyone see my slide there?
Yes.
Okay, so I sent this out, I believe last week. And really it's just a comparison of 2019 to 2020 for the Hannah area. And as you can see, persons crimes are down 25%. Overall, property crime is up 8%, and that's including things like thefts, break-and enters, mischiefs, and frauds. Our other criminal code offenses are up 4%. That would include weapons offenses, disturbing the peace, and things like breaching release conditions. And I'll cover off those two things in more detail later on. So if you want to look at property crime, break and enters are actually down 55%. So we've had 23 fewer instances in 2020. Thefts of motor vehicles are down 2%. But where the 8% increase comes from is theft under $5,000. So that was up 73%. So there was 52 calls for service for theft under $5,000 in 2020. And so those numbers were kind of concerning to me. So I did look at our stats, and I looked at, I tried to look at each individual file to see if there was any trends or, if there's any explanation for it. And I did see we had a rash of vehicle break and enters in the town of Hanna at the end of the summer. And that accounted for a good portion of those thefts. The majority of the files were involving vehicles. So people's change being stolen, or wallets, cell phones, and thefts of license plates. Most of the crimes were what we like to call crime of opportunities. So someone's walking by, they see the vehicle doors left unlocked, or there's a high value item left in plain view, or in the box of a truck, like someone left their cell phone on the seat or something. This might be a little harder to see, but these are the crime statistics. They actually go all the way back to 2016. So we'll just mostly talk about 2019 to 2020. And most of the numbers are pretty good. I think the issue in trying to look at some of them are the actual number of calls for service in each category. It's so low that an increase of 1 or 2 calls could cause a significant percentage increase from year to year. So I really just picked through a few of them that stand out to me that I'd like to explain further, some highlights of it. So when we look at our persons crimes, the assaults, the sexual assaults, the uttering threats, the robberies, those are down 25% from 2020 to 2019. So that's good. Overall, in the last 5 years, we have had a 50% decrease in those types of calls. It's really good numbers to see. Frauds, there were 31 reported frauds in 2020. So that's a 63% increase from the previous year. 15 of those were attempted telephone scams. So that's, someone's calling from the CRA and says you have a warrant for your arrest and the government needs you to pay in Bitcoins or iTunes cards.
So you mean the ones that we get weekly?
Yeah. And that number is it's a good snapshot of what's going on, but we all know that, there's a lot more of those calls being made. They're just not being reported. I know sometimes, like 1 week there, I had a call every day. But that being said, I know the RCMP, as well as most city police in Alberta, put out a really good aggressive awareness campaign on those frauds last year. And so overall, I was only able to find one actual fraud involving telephone scams in our area that someone actually did exchange money with them. So they were a victim of that crime. And then looking at disturbing the peace, we had 21 calls for service, which gave us a 425 increase from 2019. But looking at the 5-year trend, it shows a 5% decrease. So those types of files that are calls that could be intoxicated in public, loud parties, bar fights, arguments. They're typically non-criminal offenses, and in all 21 of those calls that we attended, there weren't any charges laid. They're often dealt with mediation or giving somebody a ride home if they've had too much to drink that night. Looking at the drug files, so possession of drugs or trafficking in drugs. There was an increase from 2020 to 2019, but typically those numbers, the amount of files that we have in a year for drugs, that's an indication of proactive police work. We're not typically getting complaints coming into us about drugs. It's usually, we're generating those files with intelligence or what have you.
So Dave, can I just ask a question like regarding the possession?
Sure.
Are any of those like over the allotted amount of marijuana, or are we talking about?
No, we didn't lay any charges for marijuana.
Okay.
Last year.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, no, I just wanted that clarification. Thank you.
And then mental health, the final one there, that's up 43% increase. I mean, to me, that was to be expected. It's been a rough year for, I think, everybody. And I would say that those numbers are going to be typical, across Canada. So, any questions on the numbers?
Man, you must produce a really wicked report, because usually there are some questions, but oh, hang on. Of course, Kim does. He just, never mind. I'll leave it there, Kim. Go ahead.
Just a question, David, in regards to this, the statistics you sent me and we put in the package had 2 basic sets and they look identical. The numbers are just different. So I don't know if you can scroll, like you gave me 2, keep scrolling down.
Oh,
so
yeah.
These 2 look exactly the same, but the numbers are different. So I was wondering if one was just for a month comparison.
No, yeah, so exactly. So the first one you'll see is it's for the whole year, January to December for each calendar year. And then if you go down to the last one, it's just showing you December. For each year. So.
Okay, now I see that difference. Thank
I didn't see anything significant for trends or anything when I looked at it. So I just really wanted to focus on like where we're at from last year to 2019 to 2020. So.
Okay. Any questions from council? Yes, Councillor Olson.
I just had a question. You talked about all those phone calls, the attempted fraud for people paying gift cards for taxes. And you said there's more unreported. Is that truly something you want to encourage being reported? Like for me, of course, we get a lot of those calls, and I just feel like it's a waste of your time and mine to report that as a crime.
You'd be surprised like what police can do with the information we get. So, we pass all that information on to the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, and they compile it all. It's useful data to them. For typically those phone scams, while there's nothing that we can really do at the local level in Hannah, that's not to be said that information wouldn't be useful to another agency. So.
Okay, good. Also, one more comment. Elias said, I'm sorry, I caught heck from one member years ago from calling them by their first name. They were in uniform, so I apologize if that's the case. It excites me as a parent with young kids that you want to incorporate in the community. Because when I grew up years ago, that was pretty important to all the RCMP around town, and that's often lost on a lot of members. We've got a couple of good members now that follow that philosophy, so that just excites me as a resident here. Thank you.
Yeah, going back to the even the scam calls or the fraudulent calls or whatever you want to call it, I get them. I honestly get them probably every 3 or 4 days, and I always answer them and I want to talk to the guy. But predominantly on my cell phone, they're Hannah numbers that they're using. So I don't know. Like, can you still use that information?
No, like typically they're spoofing phone numbers.
Right.
Using the internet, and so there's really, like I said, not a whole lot we can do locally with that information, but
I usually have a really good conversation with them anyway, so They usually swear back at me, so whatever. That tells you what's going on. But, so I guess I would just ask the question then, are there any areas of concern that you could bring to us that where we could maybe help you out in it?
You know, we're always concerned about rural crime, and I think I'll go in. I still have some more where I want to talk about rural crime, but
okay,
you know, that's my biggest area of concern, I think, right now, and you know, in Alberta, I think it's still a hot topic, and while we are doing good, I think there's still more to be done, and so that's where I like to see focus given. So,
oh, that's good. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So,
Can we get you to stop sharing your screen so we can see your handsome face?
how do I do that?
I have no idea. I tried to do it from my end, but I can't seem to.
There.
Oh, look at that guy. He's a tech savvy. Awesome. Okay, David, go ahead.
Thank you. So, you know, just looking at our detachment, we're currently +1 for members, which is great. And we're getting another new recruit in March. So that'll put us at +2. And, you know, that's over and above what's being paid for. It's free of charge. There's no charge to our budget on that. So that's great. Also means that, you know, if we do end up losing another member to transfer or whatever, we won't be down any members. So I know we've kind of touched on it already, but you know, we're hurting for community engagement right now due to COVID. You know, we can't hold our typical in-person sessions, do our community consultations or presentations. It's very tough to do. But we're looking at ways to utilize social media and other means to engage with the community. So, you know, a lot of that's going to be on the internet, but we're also going to look at doing some, you know, consultation through email or, you know, regular mail. Rural crime, it's a priority for us. So we've been holding bi-weekly intelligence meetings with our partners in Southern Alberta. We're collaborating with the Southern Alberta District Rural Crime Reduction Unit on files, as well as working on prolific offenders who might, you know, they don't necessarily live, you know, around Hannah, but they're coming into Hannah to commit crimes. And we're working with the local Rural Crime Watch to develop better means of intelligence sharing. And lastly, we also started to roll out this week crime mapping. So we work with the town as well as special areas to provide a snapshot of crime in our area that's accessible to the public. So what this does, it provides an overview of where property crime is being committed. And so that's going to include your thefts, your stolen cars, and your break and enters. And just for people concerned with privacy, it doesn't actually, on the map, it's not actually showing exactly where the crime has occurred. It plots it to the nearest intersection. So it's going to give residents in the town and around the county a better idea what's going on around them with respect to crime trends. And I believe that's scheduled to go live and be promoted sometime this week.
Laurie, did you want to add to that at all? I see you nodding your head. No, you're good. Okay.
And that's it. Anyone has any questions?
Okay, we'll open it up. Councillor Bowden. You're still muted.
Sorry, I disappeared for a while. We have shutdown coming on shortly, and there are 200 people that are going to be working out at the plant. And it seems that there is usually somebody that has tools stolen out of their trucks, things of that nature, and it really reflects badly on our community. And I was just I feel bad for those people because they're working long hours and come home and then next thing they know their tools or some equipment is missing. So just making a comment, I guess. Is there going to be any more additional, I guess, presence around the hotels and things of that nature when there might be people coming to our community for that very reason, to pick on these workers that are here for a short period?
Yeah, for sure. And that's great. And that's good information for us. And we'll take that into account with increased patrols around those hotels.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Any further questions? Gwen, you had something to ask or add or something?
Just something to add in regards to member participation with the youth club. We certainly appreciate from our department's perspective the work of Constable Pepin as well as Constable Marlowe working with the youth club. And I know it's difficult for them, especially during COVID, but they have definitely been trying to connect. And when I speak with youth club members and with our representative on the board or one of our staff, they indicate that the members have been really trying to work hard with it. So there's an opening there to work with youth. We do a team fair coming up. So hopefully we'll be able to host that in the spring or in the fall. But just wanted to mention that for David as well, so that he was aware. A little bit of a connection. We're trying.
Thank you. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
Excellent. Laurie?
I don't know if your position here is a long-term one or not, so this may be a moot point. But last fall, there was a kind of a brutal armed robbery of an elderly couple in the community. Constable Hartman was had taken on that file and was doing a really good job, but I just wanted to be on your radar.
It's on our radar. Obviously I can't comment on the investigation, but it's still under investigation. So
thank you.
Okay. Any further questions, Councillor Campion?
Yeah, Corporal, you mentioned about the drug thing and this and that. I'm wondering, has there been any follow-up and anything to what's going on with these opioid and fentanyl deaths that we've had in our community?
yeah, absolutely. Each one's investigated, and, you know, we work with our partners in Alberta Health to do that, and obviously try to do our part to stop that. And it is a problem right across Alberta for sure. So
Yeah, because here on council, we seem to be spending a lot of time trying to make the community grow, but it seems like the drug dealers are keeping ahead of us. So, you know, just a concern.
And unfortunately, it's not unique to Hannah. That's the problem, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Kim.
Sorry, David, just one last clarification. So the stats that you have presented us, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Those are for the detachment area, not specifically the town of Hannah, correct?
that is correct.
So there would be some of those numbers may be reflected in areas that are not in the town of Hannah.
Yeah, sorry I didn't specify that, but yeah, it would be the special areas as well as the town. So
Perfect, thank you.
Any further questions? All right, seeing none, I just want to thank you, Corporal Spurley and Bernard. Thank you so much for taking time out of your evening. Not that you wanted to be outside at any given time, but we appreciate the updates always. And if there's anything we can ever do for you, please let us know.
thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. You guys have a great night.
You as well.
Thank you. I would entertain a motion that council thanks Corporal Spurley or Cyril, sorry, OIC Hannah Detachment for the presentation of policing statistics and the update on the activities of the Hannah RCMP detachment. Thank you, Councillor Campion. All in favor? And that is carried. That takes us to 5.0. We have some meeting minutes. We have meeting minutes from the, or no, I guess we need to, sorry, our meeting minutes, sorry, I jumped ahead. I'd entertain a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting held January 12th, 2021 be adopted as presented. Thank you, Councillor Stickle. Any questions, errors, or omissions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. And I'd also entertain a motion that the minutes of the information meeting of council held January 27th, 2021 be adopted as presented. Thank you, Councillor Olson. Any questions, errors, or omissions regarding those minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, I not drop these down. We have our accounts payable. I would entertain a motion that council accepts the accounts payable listings for general account checks 41424 to 41584 and direct deposit payments 00007820000116 for information. Thank you, Councillor Dedlock. Any questions? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Takes us to 6.02, Statement of Revenue and Expenses. I would entertain a motion the council accepts the Statement of Revenue and Expenses report for January 2021 for information. Councillor Jensen, thank you. Any questions regarding the Statement of Revenue and Expenses? No? Okay, I'll call the question. And all in favor? And that is carried. Takes us to 6.03, Budget Overview. I would entertain a motion that council accepts the budget overview for January 2021 for information. Thank you, Councillor Stickle. Any questions regarding the budget overview? Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor? That is carried. That takes us to committee reports. Excuse me. I would entertain a motion that council accepts the Community Services Board meeting minutes for January 18th, 2021 for information. Thank you, Councillor Jensen. Any questions or anything of interest that anybody wants to bring up through that meeting? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is also carried. That takes us to Senior Administrative Officials Report. And of course, as always, we will start with our Chief Administrative Officer, Mr. Neil. I'll go mute myself and turn the floor over to you. But you have to unmute. Sorry.
Sorry, I thought I did hit the button, so.
Okay, that's all right.
I'm going to use a phrase used by Director Olson, and he's not even listening to me, but I have nothing more to add to my report, but certainly would be willing to engage any questions that council may have.
Man, I was going to just kind of have a rest and just take a break, but totally.
I thought that's what you had on your mind. No.
I know what's going on. Calgary Flames play at 8 o'clock. Gotcha. Any questions? Man, just that thorough, Kim, I guess. Well, yeah. Thank you, Kim. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Okay, you threw me off. I don't even know what to do anymore.
You thought you had a few minutes there,
to prepare. All right, that takes us to 8.02, Director of Business and Communications. Director Armstrong, the floor is yours. Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I am. I'm going to take some time.
Good.
Not a huge amount of time. Not as much time as Kim would take, just a little bit of time. No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to touch a little bit more on what Corporal Surly, I think, or Searle, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, was talking about with the crime map. The RCMP contacted myself and Megan with Special Areas, I think towards the end of last week, and brought us up to speed on the Rural Alberta Crime Map project that they've been working on. They've been rolling it out in communities across the province. So I finally had a chance to take a good look at it yesterday and start implementing it. I connected with Special Areas, and I connected with with the Herald, with Jackie, and we're going to be rolling that out. But I just wanted to, I'm sorry that we blindsided you, Mayor Warwick. I wanted to bring this to council, and I neglected to tell Jackie that the elected officials probably wouldn't even be aware of it until the meeting. So she ended up trying to get a quote out of the mayor. And of course, he didn't know what she was talking about, but he's very good at that. So I'm going to try.
Deflecting. They call it deflecting.
Deflecting. Okay, thank you. I want to just kind of give you a real quick. That's not what I want to do. I won't take too much time doing this. This, I think, is what I want to do. Can you see that Google screen?
Yep, we sure can.
You can?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, we're just going to go to hannah.ca/crime map. This is live, but until we actually roll it out, you need the URL to get there. So how it works is it will be hosted on the Town of Hannah website, a little bit of preamble there. And then it takes you to, obviously, Town of Hannah crime map. You have to agree, and then you can go in and view the area. You can zoom in, you can zoom out. The icons here, this one here relates to a theft over under $5,000, just gives you a little bit of information. This pop-up says it was reported on the 5th of February. There's not a lot to look at because we don't have a lot. In fact, when I looked yesterday, there was one other icon on here for theft from a motor vehicle. And now today when we look, there's only one. So the downside to this, from what they've told me, is that the administration here will be looking every day and doing the plotting onto the map. But once they're plotted, they're only there for 14 days. So that's really not a very long period of time before they disappear off the map. That has nothing to do with the file being closed or anything, but I guess it's just another tool. So I just wanted council to be aware that that is in the works and will be rolling out.
So Lori, is that then, are those arrests or
Nope. Reports?
incidents? Just reports, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Okay,
report.
awesome. That's, yeah.
Yeah, the idea is that if anybody knows anything about it, that they would call Crime Stoppers or the detachment. You can zoom out and you see more. Like when I zoom, I didn't do it just here for time's sake, but when you zoom out, you'll be able to see not City of Calgary because they have their own police service, but I could see Airdrie, Strathmore. There was lots of icons in those areas.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's neat.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool tool.
Yeah. And that's,
Yeah.
you're still giving your report, yeah.
I'm still giving my report. Yes, I was going to mute myself. I don't think I have anything to add. I mean, we've had a really busy month communicating. We've gotten lots of positive energy from all kinds of people with so much negativity on social media. And again, that's kind of our primary engagement communication tool, and these days anyways. It's been really good to see the numbers. And as I said in my report, we're not in people's faces saying, hey, come live the lifestyle in Hannah, but they're seeing that and they're like, oh, this is so cool. So, you know, citizens that used to live here are commenting or liking on the photo of Bernie Sanders on the goose, and then their friends are liking and commenting, and it just takes off exponentially. The Croca Curl, I thought it would be a kind of a cool thing, but I never dreamed it would be as big as it has gotten. Perhaps Gwen and her crew were aware of what it would, of the attention it would bring, but I did direct the radio station to her yesterday. She did an interview with them, and the fellow said to me, right away, it made me want to move to Hannah. So again, in an era where there's a lot of negativity, we're just doing our best to push out what's good, some good stuff. So
It was probably the amazing Crooked Curl technique that I displayed, I would imagine on the video that drove that.
It was the video editing skills.
Okay, yeah, getting rid of the bad stuff. Yeah, I get that. Never mind. Okay.
The first couple of seconds, but in all seriousness, I did throw the mayor for a loop and said, can you give me a preamble? And I mean, that's what he comes up with. He's a natural. So that was excellent. And the fact that Damien Kirk shared it with his constituents and stuff, it just shows the mileage, shows the lifestyle. Yeah, just have had a couple of really, that one wasn't hugely time consuming, but I've had a couple of very time consuming, but also very successful campaigns. And the only way to really measure them is through social media figures that are provided. I have nothing further to add unless anybody has any questions for me.
Okay. Heads up if anybody. Yes, Kim, you have a
I don't have
comment.
a question for Lori, but it is a comment for the mayor. So I was wondering, with all of those people and all of those views, does he wish he would have made a better shot?
It was surprisingly more difficult than it looked like it was going to be. It seemed a lot slipperier than it was. You have to huck them hard, actually.
Remind me off camera and I'll show you the B-roll.
Yeah, you should see the second shot. Almost in the middle. So
I thought maybe that was after a bunch of practices that was as good as you.
no, I sat down and I threw it.
Okay, good.
Okay, so good try. Well, we'll have to, once it gets a little warmer, Kim,
Sure.
game on.
Okay.
Little wager.
Okay.
We'll get it. That would be good. Okay, thank you for that. Any further questions for Director Armstrong? Okay, thank you for that, Laurie. That takes us to 8.3, Director of Community Services. And that's a great segue into, of course, Director Snell's report.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate the attention that Director Armstrong was able to provide for the Croaky Curl. And yes, Lori, I am all-knowing, so you'll know that in the future to jump a little quicker when I ask maybe, but all jokes aside, it is very positive. It's nice to have had the support of Westview Co-op, and I noticed the mayor mentioned that in his report as well, but it just shows the cooperation in the community to find the positives. I think people know that we didn't have a rodeo recently in town, but it feels like we've had a rodeo with the recent announcements by the provincial government that are changing. And we've had to do some quick footwork. And I will say to council that our groups and organizations are pretty excited about being able to get back, even in the limited amount, and they've been very good to work with as we sort of walk through what that means. It's difficult because we can't open our facilities up fully, so there's still restrictions that I have to make sure that we're adhering to, but the groups have been pretty good about working with us. We've changed, done a whole turnaround since our report was prepared for council, and I know that CAO Kim Neal will address that, but just so council's aware, one of the directives with the provincial government is there's a number of communities that have taken their ice out and their ice plants are no longer working, and so therefore they will allow us to rent to those communities that are looking, the minor hockeys or the youth groups that are looking for additional ice time. So our ice right now is used 4 out of 7 days with minor hockey and figure skating. We're looking at how we can utilize that ice a little better and market to some of the communities that maybe don't have ice. Maybe that'll mean that we can go longer on the weekends. We still can't have games. There's still restrictions in terms of number of people on the ice and in the building, but it's definitely changed completely from what it was at the time of writing the report. So we continue to adapt and change. If nothing, we're certainly adaptable in our department, and it is our goal to be the good news department for the town. We're working with people on their leisure time, and we enjoy that role. As you can tell from some of the Feel Good Friday campaign that Director Armstrong and Programmer McGillian have been up to, some shenanigans, but it definitely is putting some levity into our promotions as well. So with that, if there's any questions from council, I'll certainly entertain any questions you might have.
I have one. Okay, Councillor Olsen, you go ahead.
No, just a mindless comment. I just had some feedback about Angela's bathtub picture. It was a nice steamy post for the town to have out there.
And so
Councillor
I was
Bowden?
gonna,
okay.
I was gonna comment if any of the counselors wanted to submit something for the Feel Good February challenge, that please do. We'll be more than happy to share it, just to, again, get that positive message out there. Believe me, I'm not a selfie Facebook poster, so it was totally outside my box, my comfort zone to do that one today, but just trying to support the program and what Angela's doing.
Well, you're not getting me in a tub full of suds. I'll guarantee you that. Councillor Bowden.
Yes, I just wanted to thank Director Snell and with all the work that her crew has been doing with trying to get new things going on with the as far as the lights in the park and Croque Curl and helping out with I think your crew indicated that your crew's helping with flooding the ice at Fox Lake as well, and the same with the fire department as well, with keeping things going and making it interesting for our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will pass that on. And I will also mention that Public Works did work with us when we flooded the outdoor skating area at Fox Lake. So it does take a town effort. And our department initiatives are definitely not just one person driven. They're definitely embraced by the whole department.
So thanks, Councillor Bowden. Just my question was, I noticed a bunch of skates coming in my store, so I do understand that hockey can practice. Is it 10 or 20? Because I had two different people tell me two different stories.
Well, that's changed actually, even since the announcement on Saturday. And so my frustration is, it seems that Hockey Alberta's got to post up quicker than the province in terms of clarification. But Hockey Alberta did ask the question, and they've posted that in their question and answers. And they've been advised by the province that they can have 10 on the ice at the same time on different ends. So as long as they're that 3 meters apart and they're physical distancing, they looked at the fact that it was, a large space. So now that brings into question automatically if the skating area can have 20 on the ice, can we have more than 10 dancers if we have a large enough area? So to give council an understanding, Hannah Dance has been allowed to go back into the studios, but they can't always get the physical distance within the dance studios with their numbers. So we automatically offered the field house to them to run their program. Our field house can't be used by anyone else. The fact that Hannah Dance can get up and going, that's great. But Hannah Dance may in fact be able to have more than 10. That will be something to be seen as they clarify the guidelines and the rules as we go forward.
Good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
But it definitely shows how confusing things are.
Yeah, I know, and how quickly it changes. Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Any further questions for Director Snow? Awesome. Thank you for that report. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
That takes us to, you're welcome. It takes us to 8.04, Director of Protective Services. Where did you go? There you are, Director Moe. Oh, not again. There you go.
No,
That's
sorry.
There you go.
I'm live. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple comments on my report. Little bit of flurry of activity as far as development is concerned. Pleased to show that we have issued a development permit through Municipal Planning Commission for a new home on 4th Avenue. So that's nice to see. And I'm also pleased to give a little bit of good news information that I finally issued the development permit for the Ag Chem project on South Municipal Road. So hopefully we'll see construction begin there in the spring, and that will be a nice new business to add to our community as well. So other than that, I'll look forward to presenting and discussing the bylaw and development statistics for last year in the meeting coming up here.
Any questions for Director Moe? Okay, thank you for that. That takes us to Director of Public Works, Director Olson. Just so you know, Mr. Neal stole your line, so.
I heard that. I was on the phone call with somebody asking about water. So, yeah. I have nothing further to add to my report, except for in this cold weather, people need to keep their heat on their water meter line coming in.
Right.
We're starting to get some phone calls about houses out of water, and they think it's warm enough, but with the wind, it's starting to freeze them off. So,
okay.
Other than that, I'll take some questions.
Okay. Hands up. There we go, Mr. Neal. Yeah, you're making up for the comment. Aren't you?
The only comment, and hopefully Brent can speak to this, is we did have a couple of people were concerned and dropped by in the office today just to, you know, mention that the roads were icy and they were slippery. And I did inform Caitlin after I found that out that, you know, the salt sand is useless at these temperatures. So that's why we're not out, because the impression was, don't the guys do any road work anymore? And, you know, the answer basically is, if anybody's asking me right now, the salt and sand, it's too cold. It would just be a waste of time to put it down right now. And Brent might know what the temperature is where they say that it will start to work, and that's why I wanted, if he has any further comments on that. But just anybody's asking you why we're not putting it out, it's just ineffective at the moment.
Yeah, nobody's putting it out. Special areas, transportation, it won't cut. So you're wasting your money and your product. It has to get down around that -20 for it to even start. We're watching it. We know that the road's got some blowing snow and it's starting to bank on some spots. I mean, our roads are better than just about anywhere else in Alberta, I'd like to say. But as soon as we can get the equipment out, -27, -32 is really hard on equipment as well. So it's not like people can't get around. If you drive for the conditions, my guys are saying, like when we do pumps and stuff, they're not sliding through if you take your time. So as soon as I can get some sand out, we'll be out.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Hopefully, I'm not even going to mention it. So, you know what I was going to say. Everything's good. Yeah, no, I know.
Thank you. Yeah.
It's gone. Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that, Director Olson. All right. With that, I would entertain a motion that council accept senior administrative officials report 8.01 to 8.05 as presented for information. Thank you, Councillor Dedlock. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, that takes us to, we have a few business items. That takes us to tax recovery property 9.01. I would entertain a motion that, whereas the properties described as lots 7 through 9, block 6, plan 6133AW, tax roll 700, and lot 10, block 6, plan 6133AW, tax roll 800, and lot 11, block 6, plan 6133AW, tax roll 900, and lot 12, block 36, plan 6133AW, tax roll 37900, and lot 21, block 10, plan 6133AW, tax roll 56300, and lot 3, block 57, plan 041147, tax roll 111600, and lot 7, block B, plan 8910698, tax roll 141100, were offered for sale by public auction on January 12, 2021 under the tax recovery provisions of the Municipal Government Act. And whereas the properties were not sold at auction, and whereas attempts by administration to collect outstanding taxes have not been successful, and whereas council desires to acquire title to the properties as tax for forfeiture, council authorize Chief Administrative Officer to request that the Land Titles Office cancel the existing certificates of title and issue new ones to the town of Hannah as tax forfeiture, and further to dispose of the properties at market value. How's that, folks? Thank you, Councillor Stickle. Anybody didn't hear that properly? Do you want me to do it again? No, clearly not. Yeah, no, not going to happen. All right, Mr. Neal, do you want to, is this pretty cut and dry? Do you need to expand on it?
I
Okay,
don't know if
do
council's
it.
had to deal with this before, but you knew the number we started with at the beginning. It whittled down, I think, from 17 properties now down to 7. We did have the auction, as it was stated, on January 12th, and I was pleased to say we had some people in attendance. So we went through the process. Unfortunately, no bids, which wasn't surprising because in some situations our assessed value is higher than what fair market value in today's climate would be. So we are recommending to council that we ask for title and to take title, and then we will be able to legally try and dispose of them. Any profit, any sale proceeds that are in excess of the taxes owing and any other costs that have incurred need to remain in trust based on applications from the previous owners. Then they can get, if there's anything left over, that can be paid back to them on those properties. But they have to make the application, and after 10 years, no applications have been made for it, then those dollars can be free and clear for the town to move forward with. So in most situations out of those 7 properties, I believe that we will be able to sell the property for more than what the taxes are owing and any other costs. And we'll hang on to that. There may be 1 or 2 that we may not recover that money on, but I think that the majority of them we will. And if council approves this motion, we'll get the paperwork in, and I'm anticipating it would probably be, till March that we would actually have the land titles changed and they would become our property. And at that time, we would be able to deal with them and move forward. So it's a tough situation for council, but at the end of the day, if we don't take title to the properties, they'll just sit there and nothing will happen to them, and they'll continue to deteriorate. It doesn't mean that somebody's going to miraculously come back and pay the taxes and want to clear it up. So I think there is some potential with all of the properties. And we'll move forward. And I've talked to our realtor, Mr. Wallace, and told him that we'd let him know when we had title to them and he can start marketing them. We may have to get, we will have to talk a little bit further. We may need to maybe bring in an appraiser for the professional building. It's a big building. It's a unique building. I know it does need some work, but at the end of the day, that one has some potentially some significant value, and we don't want to short-sight it and make even though we're not going to be able to keep the money potentially, we want to try and get what is the best value we think we can. And that may require some outside expertise just to give us some advice. But I'm prepared to answer any questions, Mr. Mayor, on this. But hopefully, if things go according to plan, we will be in control of those properties early March, and then we can move forward with some of them. Some of them, I think, we might have to spend some more money on to get them into the state they need to be. But others, I think, potentially could sell fairly quickly.
Okay, Councillor Bowden.
Yes, I was just wondering, with the sale of a property, then if the surplus, can that money then go towards doing some renovations, or?
Not that I'm aware of in the MGA. So an example would be if we, one of the examples could be is we could say there was a property that we took title to and we demolished it. Potentially the cost for demolition could be included. But the property that we would probably demolish basically would mean we're not going to get a ton of dollars back for it anyways. So it's, it might be one where the town is, out some money to demolish and clean up the property. I know that working with Mark Nakota at Cactus Corridor, there is some potential that our funding with Western Economic Diversification could assist in some demolitions. Primarily if we had a solid proposal for development that followed it, I think they would receive that quite well. So Mark and I have been working with a couple of people on that to see if we can get some commitments firmed up there. But until we get title to the property, we technically aren't even supposed to be on it. So we're moving forward there.
So I was just wondering, as far as the professional building is concerned, if it needs some work done on it, while the town has ownership of it, would the town go ahead and do that and then hope to recover the expenses on a separate sale?
I think Councillor Bowden, that would be a discussion we'd have to have with council. I think that's a possibility, just like the demolition. We could, for example, if we took title to professional building and we felt that it needed $100,000 worth of work done on it to bring it up to standard, that would be a decision council would have to make to say, it'd be a little bit like if you had a home and are you going to invest money to fix it up so you can sell it for a higher price tag?
Yeah.
So that would be, I wouldn't want to make that decision, Councillor Bowden. I'd want certainly council to make that decision on whether spending some money and some improvements would bring a greater return.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any further questions? All right, then I'll call a question. All in favor? That is carried. All right, that takes us to 9.02, Visitor Information Center Management Agreement. I would entertain a motion the council authorize the mayor and chief administrative officer to enter into a memorandum of agreement between the town of Hanna and the Hanna District Association for Lifelong Learning, operating as the Hanna Learning Center, to allow the Hanna Business Hub to take over management and operation services of the Visitor Information Center as a pilot project for 2021 season. Thank you, Councillor Olson. I know we discussed this in our council. Yeah,
Mr. Mayor, not much. I just the agreement is here. We talked at the last council meeting and got direction from council to move forward to this stage. So drafted an agreement, ran it by the representatives of the Learning Center, and they're good with it. And if council ratifies the agreement, then we're moving forward on a pilot project for 2021, and hopefully COVID eases off and we can try and get to close to where we were, I guess, in 2019, and that can get a good feel for what it's going to take to operate. But I know their representatives are very excited about the opportunity. They're looking forward to it, and there might be a few bumps along the way as we move forward, but I know we have a good relationship with that group, and we'll be able to move forward in a positive direction. So if council has any questions, I'd be prepared to answer them.
all right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you for that, Mr. Neal. That takes us to 9.03, the 2020 Bylaw and Development Annual Statistics Report. Mr. Mole, I'm just going to turn it over to you and we'll make the motion after your report's done.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess, Lori, are you able to display those graphs for me, please? Starting, I guess, with the bylaw incidents. I do apologize, when they were put together, some of the slides ended up being kind of cockeyed, so I don't know if Lori can change them as we go, but Anyway, the first set of 3 slides are essentially for bylaw incidents. And this, of course, is percentage of bylaw incidents by category. And it's just a breakdown by percentage of the categories that I chart throughout the year. And just to give you a percentage of activity on those particular ones, more graphic than anything else. Okay, and the next one, please, Lori. Yes, this one. I don't know if you can rotate it or not. You might be able to. Yes, there we go. These are just numbers of incidents by category, which shows the categories that I dealt with, that either dealt with either a remediation process or an enforcement process. So these numbers are there. I quite often solve a lot of problems by phone, and they are not necessarily charted. But if there is, letters sent or any kind of fines involved, then of course they'll be charted fully that way. So those are the numbers for what they are for 2020. The next one, please. And that is basically a 2-year comparison. This is where you kind of get a little more information comparing last year to, 2019 to 2020. So you can see a change in some of the categories. Parking was a larger change last year compared to the year before. And the weeds and grass in the summertime are also a substantial change. The rest are all pretty close to the situation. Others were just odd incident type of situation that were kind of out of the ordinary, that didn't necessarily fall into the regular categories. Could be dealing with an animal incident or something of that nature, or something where people required information on an issue that did between neighbors or whatever. So it's just things that just don't fall in the regular category get caught up in other. And it seemed to be a little bit strange last year, but for a quiet year, that category is odd that it's up a little bit higher. But okay, so any questions on bylaw? Okay, not, we'll move on to development. Once again, this is percentage of development permits by type again. So you can see that display. Sorry, get it up here. And once again, it's just indicating a percentage of activity in a graphical form. Okay, the next one, Lori, please. This will show the actual numbers of permits issued by type. And that gives you an indication. Biggest ones usually throughout the year are for residential additions, and that would include everything from fences, garages, carports, steps, porches, those type of things. Couple of new commercial additions and a couple of new commercial operations as well. And then of course the home occupation numbers. Okay, next one, please. This is the 2-year comparison from 2019 to 2020. And for whatever reason, I guess because a lot of people had some time on their hands, there was a lot of fences built and a lot of garages added, and the numbers show that. And of course, some people with a downturn in the economy, home occupations were back on the increase for 2020. Okay, next one. And this is a 10-year comparison of permits issued by a number of permits issued. So it's kind of seems to be coming back up a little bit here, and hopefully 2021 we'll see a little more activity in the way of construction and building. And that let's just hope that that's a trend for 2021. And I think this is the next one is the development permit by value. So no large ticket items in 2020. Our number is the lowest it's been in the last 10 years. So I think that's obviously a reflection of the economic climate that we've been going through for the last couple of years.
So Adrian, that's not necessary actual value, right? That's the value that somebody wrote down, estimated value at the time of permit. Is that right?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Generally speaking, we try to get people to put the best value. Now it might be a quoted value for the project at hand. It could be less or more depending on that situation, but for the most part it's relatively close. But they are generally estimated to go for their on their development permit. The building permit may show otherwise. Once they actually get down to it, there's always probably a change to that figure. So I don't have those statistics, but
yeah, I guess that would have been maybe more of my question. Sorry, was whether it was from the actual permit or from yourself. But no, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
that when they fill out their development permit, it basically asks for an estimate of the cost of the project. So it could vary. I would venture to say that it wouldn't vary drastically from that figure, unless the construction cost or they reduce the size on the building permit. So that's the only figures that I have to go by.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, and the last one, of course, is a 10-year comparison of home occupations. So we had a high in 2017 of 15. And it dropped down again over 18 and 19, and it's back on the rise again in 2020. So, and I think that's all that I have.
Okay. Are there, if you want to stop sharing, Lori, that's great. Thank you. I knew I didn't have to tell you, but just thought I'd throw it out there. That's how it works. Are there any questions for Director Moe regarding the bylaw incidents report? You must be that thorough. All right, well done. Thank you, Adrian, for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would entertain a motion that council accepts the 2020 bylaw and development annual statistics report for information. Thank you, Councillor Olson. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, that takes us to 9.04 COVID-19 operational plan update. Do you want to, where did you go? My screen's all changed. Do you want to go through this first, Kim, or do you want me to just?
Mr. Mayor, I would go through, you could put the resolution out, but you have the new resolution, correct?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
You sent it out at like 5 o'clock this afternoon.
No, wasn't that?
Of course I have it. Yeah. Okay, let's I'll entertain the motion. The council accepts the 2020 bylaw and, Jesus, what happened? My screen didn't refresh. No, look at it's not liking me. Look at that. Now I gotta scroll. Okay, I don't know why that does that sometimes. Okay, so I would entertain a motion that council accepts the Town of Hannah COVID-19 operational plan update dated February 9th, 2021 for information. Thank you, Councillor Deadlock. All right, Mr. Neal.
So we've talked a bit about COVID already, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make sure everybody's on the same page, has the same understanding as to how we're moving forward. So as we've talked, things have changed significantly. We did the report Friday, had the report done, sent it out. Councillor Olson got some wind of it Saturday morning and was emailing me, and I'm responding saying, I don't know what you're talking about, Councillor Olson. I haven't seen that. I didn't know anything. let's behold that the province makes an announcement on Saturday morning about some changes but anyways, that was a good change for our community. And as you know, for our previous recommendation was to ask council for direction to turn the ice plant off because we didn't see an end to where we were at. And our groups were all, as Gwen had mentioned, our groups were all very supportive. Every one of them said, we'd love you to keep the ice in, but it's not fair of us to ask for it to be kept in just for us. And that was primarily the school because they don't pay, but they would have certainly used it, but they just felt it was too much of an ask for them to ask the council to keep the ice in for their use only. So Saturday morning, basically the restrictions allowed children under 18 to do group team sports and activities. And so that opened up the ability for our arena. So Arena Minor Hockey is able to offer a program. It will be a little different than normal. They can't play games. They have to stay 3 meters distance. They have to wear masks. Coaches have to wear masks. But they can. And it's changed again, even from Saturday with a maximum of 10 to now the province looking and saying, okay, in areas where you've got an arena, it's a large enough space. You can probably have 2 groups of 10 go on as long as they keep their physical distancing from each other and potentially handle how they're getting off the ice, on and off the ice together, so they're not all necessarily colliding with each other at any point in time. So that was good news. We can keep the arena open. Minor hockey, figure skating will be able to run a fairly normal program with their numbers with the older participants. Immediately, the Can Skate or Skate Canada said, we're going to hold off on making decisions on Can Skate until we hear more about the regulations and the restrictions. So potentially with being able to have more kids on the ice, they may be able to operate pretty close to where they were prior to being closed, which is good. Schools are certainly looking to access it for phys ed classes, for the hockey academy. They have, I think, appreciated going out to Fox Lake, and I think they've appreciated using the outdoor rink, but I think with the weather that we've got right now, they would appreciate being inside. So they will be able to use it. The only group that can't right now is our adults. So there is no, our Sunday night group are out, our noon hour hockey's out. Even parent and taught technically are not allowed, or public skating at this point. So we will get back to fairly normal use, provided we don't have any more setbacks and changes. But so it's going to work. Curling rink, I did send out an email to council last week when the curling club made the decision to suspend their season. Adults are not allowed till we're looking March 22nd at the earliest, if they stick to their plan. And I think with curling club not being able to have potentially have large bonspiels that are money makers for them, and adults not being in, and the fact that it will save the curling club some dollars, because as of the time we turn the plant off, that's the end of their financial commitment for their lease agreement. So they'll be able to save some money when maybe there's not as much money coming in. So disappointing that curling had to shut down, but it has. Centennial Place, again, up until Saturday, we were pretty much going to be closed except for Kitty's Corner or private bookings one-on-one with a fitness trainer until they opened up. And basically when they opened it up on Saturday, that gave the opportunity for dance to jump in and establish a program following the COVID protocols. So they'll be able to move forward. Kitty's Corner will be able to move forward, and fitness will be able to take forward or move forward if you have a trainer, a certified paid trainer. It's the silliest rule I think they've got going right now, that I can't book the fitness center to Mayor Warwick to go in and work out on his own and leave, he has to have a paid trainer. And I always say to the staff when we talk about it, it's not about the adult's mental health. It's not about the adult's physical condition. It's about getting fitness trainers paid and working. And that's maybe a bigger issue in the city than it is out here. But I know we've had a lot of disappointed people and confused people that they can't go into the fitness center and work out one-on-one. And maybe that'll change as we move forward, but right now that's where we're at. So the building's gonna remain in a closed state, basically. Kitty's Corner is gonna operate, dance will operate, and if we do get any bookings from people to use the fitness center with a trainer, and there will be some, not probably a lot, but there will be some, they will be able to gain access to the building and do that. So it's a little bit different, and we're gonna walk through it. We're gonna walk before we run and figure that stuff out. So community center actually has had some restrictions kind of lifted today, just in the regard that the comment is if you had a gymnastics club that was working in a facility that was 100 square feet, they could move their operation to a community center and use it still following the same protocols. Just because it's a larger space, they can social distance easier and better. I don't anticipate that's going to happen. It hasn't, and it's not going to change with gatherings. For example, right now, there's still tight limits on weddings, funerals, those types of things. So I don't see much uptake there. We do know that community centers basically tied up for the next month to 6 weeks anyways. And hopefully maybe when we get through that, if things keep going in the right direction, there might be some relinquishing of restrictions, and maybe you can start to have funerals or weddings that have 50 or 100 or whatever in them. We can slowly get some of those bookings. So it hasn't really changed a lot for us. Again, Handy Van, we're booking as normal, and staffing, we're still working. All full-time staff are still working. We are operating shorthanded at this point in time, and I've been pushing my directors to hold off as long as we can to try and save some money as we move forward. So they've been good about that. We are looking at bringing in a temporary operator at the arena here in the next few weeks to get started, and basically then they almost, in my mind, we're almost treating them like our long-term seasonal at the beginning of the year. So it's not necessarily a big deal. We are always looking for mature staff that can start early in the spring and work till late in the fall. And that'll buy us some time to see what, if anything changes on our staffing situation with our long-term disabled individual. And I think you all know Mrs. Lee is in the hospital, doing quite well in Hannah now, and but she's got a long road ahead of her. So we're doing the best we can to try and get by in her absence. It may require us bringing in some more, like we've asked Raylene at Centennial Place to pick up a lot of those duties. And if it gets busy at Centennial Place and she's not able to keep up on everything, then we'll bring in some of the casual staff to come in and do the cleaning and facility preparation, and she can focus on the other stuff. So to date, it's been working okay. Certainly stretching us, but that's okay. That's what we're trying to do is be as effective and as efficient as we can. So I just wanted to make sure we are moving forward, Mr. Mayor, still under the plans that we will be opening our outdoor pool on May long weekend, and we'll be able to have some more summer stuff as we move forward. I know I was on a call the other day and somebody was asking about a golf courses and golfing, and the chief medical officer of health's comment was, there's no orders that says you can't right now. It's just the weather. So that kind of led to, I think golf had a great season last summer, seemed to be very COVID friendly and worked well. And I would be shocked if there's anything that's going to not allow us to get back into summer swing. So
Well, being the organizer of Thursday Night Men's League, I am anticipating 12 teams this year instead of only 9 like we had. So, there you
yeah.
go.
So I think I tried to just give an overview, and if anybody's not, it is a little confusing. If anybody's got questions, feel free to answer them, but that's how we're moving forward. And in hindsight, it was good that we waited to bring it back to council. A lot of facilities have shut down their ice plant and are not very happy with the province right now because they don't look good to their community because they don't have an ice plant and ice operating. But and we would have been in the same boat if council made a decision tonight to close it, and then on Saturday they said, "Oh no, let's get them back in again." So, so I think
thanks.
that's it, Mr. Mayor.
That's what it is. Thanks for the update, but just wait till tomorrow, it'll change. So. Any questions? Yes, Councillor Olson.
Is that 20 people, is that a real thing, or is that one of those maybe in the air they think they might implement something close to it?
My understanding, Councillor Olson, from the
I hate when you start with that.
from the hockey side, it's I think it's pretty legit. Hockey Alberta has said they've got confirmation that they can. And I was on a call with Dr. Hinshaw this afternoon with the CAOs, and she did have that question. She didn't answer it as concretely as Hockey Alberta has by putting the number out there, but she did say that they needed to look at the size of the space they had, and it made more sense in facilities that had an arena or a field house or a large space to be able to put more than 10 people in. So I'm pretty confident that number for hockey is good. I'm not sure, Councillor Olson, dance and dance studios, whether they'll get any flexibility in that regard to be a little bit bigger, but as Director Snell said, if they can, we certainly will make the field house available so they can get everybody in. So.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say again, I mean, I know you and Gwen wanted nothing better to do than on a Saturday morning to have my emails plastering you with new information, but everybody's frustration is just everybody wants to err on the side of restriction. So I'm happy that we've got other groups possibly come to the arena and all that good stuff. So yeah, thank you.
No problem.
Okay, Councillor Bowden.
I had gone into the website for Hockey Alberta, and under the Hockey's Path Forward, step 1, it indicates that an indoor arena ice surface can be divided in half and 2 groups of 10 can participate on ice activities.
Yes.
So
we have that information.
yeah. So I would assume then that they're looking at 20 on the ice.
Yeah, no, we're pretty confident that Hockey Alberta wouldn't have jumped and promoted that. The interesting thing is, Gwen and I discussed, it's Hockey Alberta leading the charge in getting the information out on new changes, and Alberta Health Services haven't even got anything on paper or anything in regards to that. That's a change they're comfortable with. So it's just they're not able to keep up fast enough to the changes, and like I said, we're fully comfortable with the 20 people and Hockey Alberta's direction, and that's what we've indicated to minor hockey. So
perfect. Thank you.
Oh, I guess that just brings me to maybe one last question. Our next council meeting, since we're on kind of the topic, are we just going to plan for doing virtual again? I would suspect that the Heartland Generation will have kind of a community center tied up anyway. So we'll just plan for virtual again. I'm asking you, Kim.
yeah, no, I think that would be my.
Yeah, you're just kind of looking, I don't know, you're not really.
That would be my thought, Mr. Mayor,
Okay.
unless
Let's
council was adamant
yeah.
they wanted to meet in person.
No, let's just go one more time virtual, and then then just with the community center being utilized for a shutdown if it still is. So okay,
It may even extend into our March one. Mayor, based on their time frame.
Okay. Council okay with that? Nod of the head or shake of the head, whichever. Nod. Yeah. Okay. Good. Rule looks good. Yes, Director Snell.
They do have the facility booked until March 16th at a minimum. So yes, you're quite right.
Okay, good. That's good enough then. That's easy. All right, so we do have the motion on the floor from Councillor Deadlock. I would, I guess, ask the question. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, that takes us to a bylaw, procedural bylaw, which I really like. So we're going to try to give this 3 readings tonight. If we can, I would entertain a motion that council give first reading to bylaw 1015-2021, the council procedural bylaw. Thank you, Councillor Olson. All in favor? That is carried. I would entertain a motion that council give second reading to bylaw 1015-2021, the council procedural bylaw. Thank you, Councillor Stickle. All in favor? And of course, if we want to give a third reading, we need to have unanimous consent. So I would entertain a motion that council provide unanimous consent for the third reading of bylaw 1015-2021, the council procedural bylaw at this meeting. Thank you, Councillor Deadlock. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, and I would entertain a motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw 1015-2021, the council procedural bylaw. Thank you, Councillor Jensen. All right, Mr. Neal, I guess you can't kick me out of a meeting if we approve this.
That's the basic.
Wow.
difference. So
That's crazy. What is this world coming to?
but it also means you can't kick any elected official.
I know, right? No, then that's probably right. That's probably a good thing. That's probably the way it should be.
So the only change here, council, is we should have caught it last time. So 998, we had a council procedure bylaw that talked in section 12 that nor shall a member resist the rules of council or disobey the mayor or the council. In any case, any member should so resist or disobey, he may be ordered by the council by a majority vote to leave his seat for the meeting. So we took that out and we made bylaw 1002-2019, but there was a clause we missed that was 3.75 that did allow for the removal of any person, which municipal affairs said could be council, and we can't remove a councillor. So we have changed 3.75. We basically added the words other than a member of council. So the chair may cause to be expelled and excluded from any meeting, any person other than a member of council. So we added those words in. Just a small change in clause 6.02 that says the bylaw shall be reviewed within its 4th year, and now being 2025. So those are the 2 minor changes, Mr. Mayor. Everything else in the 10-page, 12-page bylaw is all exactly the same.
Okay. Is there any questions? All right, then I'll call a final question. All in favor? And that is carried. All right, that takes us to council reports and roundtable. I'm just going to go off my screen. If you have anything to add to your report or something you want to highlight, please do so. When I call your name, I'll do a batting order, I guess, so to speak. We'll go with Councillor Deadlock, followed by Councillor Olson. Councillor Deadlock, the floor is yours.
Hi. It's been pretty quiet for council stuff for me. The only meeting I attended was for the Chamber of Commerce. Business as usual for them, except they are offering a discounted price on the signage, highway, and the big board. And pretty much that is it for me.
Are there any questions for Councillor Deadlock? Okay, I guess not. Thank you for that, Councillor Deadlock. That takes us to Councillor Olson, followed by Councillor Jensen. Councillor Olson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor. The only thing to add was our NPC meeting yesterday to approve a moved-in dwelling. And it was just thrilling to fill an empty lot. That's all I have to add.
Awesome. I like that. I like that you have to update us since we're not NPC anymore. I really like the fact that that's the way that works. It's awesome. It's good. Are there any questions for Councillor Olson? All right, great. I hope you got some cardio tonight when you're running those kids around.
Oh, absolutely. Yelling at them and from a distance with a mask on and throwing
Right,
stuff around. It was
yell.
good.
Yeah, yell at them. Yeah, that's good. Good. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to Councillor Jensen, followed by Councillor Stickle. Councillor Jensen, the floor is yours.
I have nothing really to add to my report. It's been rather quiet. Just with the library is included in step 3, so it will remain closed until end of March, kind of earliest anticipated. So I guess we'll just see what the province says at that time.
Astounding that libraries can't be open. I just don't understand it. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Any questions for Councillor Jensen? Okay, thank you for that. Then that takes us to Councillor Stickle, then Councillor Campion. Councillor Stickle, floor is yours.
Really not too much going on. I'm happy to report we don't have any COVID cases in any of the lodges. And we did get a really good report from Dr. Henshaw, the way we're running our foundation. She called up and wondered what we were doing because we don't have any cases and the rest of the province has so many. So that was a good little pat on the back for the CEO. She's doing a really good job. Palliser is running surprisingly not too bad. So other than that, I don't have anything this time.
Okay, awesome. Any questions for Councillor Stickle?
Just, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah.
Councillor Stickle, how is your numbers at the lodge? Have you had any more move in, or what's your vacancy numbers?
We've had 2 move in here and we've got 4 more that are talking about moving in now. So come to put in applications. So it's starting to come the right way.
Perfect.
I think we'll get over this COVID thing. I think we'll fill it up again.
Awesome. Okay, thank you for that, Councillor Stickle. That takes us to Councillor Campion and then Councillor Bowden. Councillor Campion, the floor is yours.
Okay, nothing more to add, other than I guess you all heard that the Alberta government rescinded on the mine permits that they've done. They're going back to the way it was before. So that was good news for the Red Deer Municipal User Group, because we had quite a meeting with the assistant environment minister over this issue. It was a very big concern of many of the people in the province because of the watersheds and things like that. Glad to report that. I got a Henry Kruger meeting next week. And that's it.
Okay, awesome, thank you. Any questions for Councillor Campion? All right, well, thank you for that. We appreciate it. Councillor Bowden, floor is yours.
Keep forgetting to unmute myself. Not a whole lot of activity going on. Community Futures is putting on boot camps for training for board members, and so I've decided to support that and attended one. So there's 2 more following on that, and it's just sort of giving board members more idea on roles and that sort of thing. And did a Community Futures meeting via Zoom and 2 investment committee meetings for loans that Community Futures were pending. So that's about all I have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Councillor Bowden? Okay, thank you for that. As promised in my report, I was going to give you an update on the AUMA President's Summit. And as I was writing my report, kind of during listening to that summit, I got called into work, so I didn't get to listen to the rest of it. They were really doing, as much as I can see, an update on what the AUMA has done and what the province is doing. They are doing a second President's Summit next Wednesday, a week tomorrow, So I may have some more at our info session and next council meeting for that. So it was kind of just a recap of what they've been doing and what they've been working on. So, but I did do something interesting this afternoon just before actually I came on this meeting. I got a call last week if I wanted to be involved in a podcast for CBC regarding, I guess, just communities that are going through a transition time. And there was us, and there was, oh my goodness, my memory's terrible. Anyway, there was a read from Vulcan, and then from Lion, I can't even remember her name. Wanda Dyko, sorry. She was on the podcast, and it was interesting. They just asked about, where we see ourselves in 25 years, what we've been going through, and it was very open to what we've been working on and how the provinces and perhaps even the feds haven't really understood the human aspect of what it means to make policies that affect our communities. So once that podcast comes about, I'll definitely let everybody know if you want to waste an hour of your time and listen to it. But I thought it was really good. It was quite good, the questions that were asked. So it was kind of from an economic point of view as well. So and that's really all I had this month. So oh yeah, but the Croquet Curl facility, when it warms up, folks, go do it. It's going to be really fun. I think it's going to be a busy place. It's really good. And kudos, of course, to the Community Services Department. And I do want to thank it once again, Westview Co-op, for doing the work that they did. Appreciate that. Any questions for me? Yes, Councillor Olsen.
Just a comment since you brought up the Croquet Curl. After watching part of that, the longest game that they were doing for hockey, and vulcanized rubber is breaking, it would sure be a great show of support for our mayor and CAO to go Croquet Curl in -35. It's been done. People are doing those conditions, so
I'll do it. And the only reason I say that because I know Kim won't.
Oh, I'll do it. I'm the guy who's walking to work every day.
I know, you're out of your mind. I walk to work inside my Jeep that's parked inside my garage. So, but yeah, game on if you want. Yeah, no, maybe not.
I'll be your bookie. Send the money my way.
Okay, there you go. Can I leave my Jeep running while we do it? I guess that'd be my question, so I can jump in and out in between.
No,
shots,
there's a lady on second will come and shut it down.
There you go. Okay, awesome. All right, so with that, I will entertain a motion that council accepts the council reports for information. Thank you, Councillor Campion. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, I'll just go through the correspondence items like normal, and then any comments or questions, we'll just do them at the end of it. We had 12.01 Brownlee LLP, the SDAB training, SDAB, remind me, Kim, sorry, subdivision, no, what is it?
Subdivision and Development Appeal Board.
Thank you. A letter to us from the new owners of formerly known as Endeavor Chartered Accountants. 12.03 AUMA AMSC update from 2020. 12.04 Municipal District of Bonnyville, requesting maybe a stronger Western Canadian Municipal Alliance for advocacy. 12.05 Keystone XL Canada, kind of some of their construction updates since it's been announced that it's not going forward. 12.06, of course, we have the PLOD board highlights from January 26, 2021. 12.07, a thank you from the Agriculture Society on our support for the Family and Marriage Therapy Program. 12.08, the Handy Municipal Library, thank you. Community Services Board grant. 12.09, Town of Waukee Seasons Greetings. 12.10, the Town of High River reinstatement of the 1976 coal policy, as Councillor Campion alluded to. And 12.11, Mackenzie County, a letter to the Premier of Alberta reopening recreational and business services. Does anybody want to comment or make note of any of those correspondence items?
Yeah.
Yes, Councillor Campion.
Your worship, the SN LLP, Kim, will we have to redesignate them as our accountants as we assigned Endeavor, did we not?
At this
Or-
point, Councillor Campion, we had a contract with Endeavor, a 3-year contract with Endeavor. I'm assuming that Ascend bought them, so they would have bought the contract. So I don't see any issues there, Councillor Campion.
Oh, okay, I just wanted it to be redone in our, like in our minutes, so. Okay, that's the only one I had.
Okay, yeah, good point, Councillor Campion. Any further? Yes, Councillor Bowden?
I had a comment, not necessarily on the correspondence. Would I be able to bring that forward now?
Sure, yeah.
I had an individual approach me regarding the voting process, and that we all know that those that do run for mayor, if they're not successful, will not also be able to sit on council.
Right.
And so I guess there was some concern regarding that those that are interested in running for mayor, as well as also still being on a council or running for council, is there some other way that things can be addressed to allow
No,
that?
that's provincial legislation. So it's you have to choose one or the other.
So,
Either you
yeah.
run for council or you run for mayor. You
Yeah.
can't do both. You
So
can run
Mr.
for council or mayor and run for school board trustee. You can do both of those, but you
Yeah,
cannot
but not the
seek
other.
election for
So,
both.
so Mr. Mayor, the process, and I had this discussion with Councillor Bowden. So the process in the MGA basically says anything town or up will elect their chief elected official. If we wanted to choose, we have the option to choose, but we would have to pass a bylaw that would state that. So they've basically said towns and up, it's you appoint your chief elected or elect your chief elected official. Summer villages, they appoint theirs. Certainly it can happen, but council would have to want to see the merits in having that. And we would, if council saw the merits and wanted us to prepare a bylaw, that would be something we could do, but we don't want to prepare the bylaw unless, there's solid interest from council in wanting to change. My comment to Councillor Bowden too was simply that my personal opinion is that when people elect, the people want to elect the mayor as a whole, not have 7 people decide who the mayor is going to be. And that's why, I would recommend that we leave things the same, but certainly if council wanted to entertain a different format, we'd have to prepare a bylaw.
Yeah, and I guess the individual that brought this forward was concerned that because of that, maybe a lot of people would not run for mayor because they still want to be part of council. And if there was an alternative way to allow more people to run for mayor, whether that option.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know. It's a democracy. It is a democratic process, and I don't know. I think that's what it is. You take a chance no matter what. I mean, I've done the provincial thing, seeking the nomination of a party, and that's that cost me a significant amount of dollars to do that. So I think I like our process. I think I like how it's set up. And if we wanted to go to a 7 councillor type of situation, I would rather see that go to plebiscite than have 7 elected officials decide that. I don't think that's
Well, I think it would be based on the actual number of votes, where the one with the most would be elected mayor, and the others would then decide whether or not they wanted to be council. If they didn't and they only wanted to be mayor, then they would be excluded and stuff. So I did say I'd bring it forward. So I have.
Okay, thank you. No, that's good. Okay. Any further? Let's stick with correspondence. Anybody with anything for correspondence? Okay, then I'll call a question before I forget to actually ratify this. I entertain a motion the council accepts correspondence items 12.01 to 12.11 for information. Thank you, Councillor Campion. All in favor? That is carried, and we do not have anything for closed session, I believe. So before I adjourn, I would ask if council could please stay online for a moment after we go off of live YouTube. We just have a little bit of a discussion that we need to have regarding some staffing, and that's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm going to adjourn, but please, council, stay online for a few extra moments. Thank you. So with that, I will adjourn this meeting at 7:57.